See, I don't really like that phrase, breaking the internet, when everyone's internet's obviously working fine, because they ask questions like, has Katt Williams broken the internet? But my internet's been really not working well the last few days since this Katt Williams podcast dropped. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Katt Williams just did a podcast, and it's one of the funniest, most refreshing interviews I've seen in a long time. Shots were fired in every direction to the likes of P Diddy, Joe Rogan, Kanye West, Kevin Hart, loads more as well. And I don't know how much of this was factual, how much of it was said in jest, and how much of it was just a marketing ploy to sell some tickets to his tour. But it made for very entertaining viewing, and the reactions from Hollywood, hip-hop, and the comedy circuit have been pretty good. I would say that at this stage it seems that potentially no lies have been told. Nobody has tried to sue him. Nobody's called him a liar. But it's a really good interview. I'm just going to try and recap it as best I can in a little 10-minute video with some highlights from it. And I recommend, if you enjoy this, you go and watch the full thing. I'll put the link in below so that you can check it out. And at this moment, it's got over 35 million views in just a few days. And it's on course to be the biggest ever YouTube conversation of all time. Right now, it's ranked only second, I believe, behind the time Elon Musk went in Joe Rogan and started smoking that wacky backy. So yeah, just a wee recap for those who are wondering what is going on and why it's went so viral, and my take on it. But let's go first up is P Diddy.
Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P Diddy be wanting the body. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. I did. See, I got the receipts for everything I'm telling you. That's why I can say them so freely.
Kid, I need another one. You here, get your number.
Thank you, sir.
You've got to tell him no. It's open season on P Diddy right now. We actually covered P Diddy on this channel a couple of months ago when we were questioning the legitimacy of him trying to give back some royalties to some of his bad boy artists. And we were right to question it, because it seems apparent that the reason that he did this was because he knew there was a hurricane coming and he had to build a shelter out of good public relations. So it all kicked off really when he paid a $10 million out of court settlement to his ex, Cassie, and that opened the floodgates. It's been allegation after allegation, and it's been given a massive signal boost from professional troll, rapper, actor, director 50 Cent, who's been living his best life by sharing every article and claim he could find. So let me know in the comments if you'd like a recap of all the allegations that have been aimed at P Diddy over the last few weeks. And I'll do that. It would take, that deserves its own show of about 10 or 20 minutes in its own right. So for now, let's get back to Katt Williams and his next target, who was Joe Rogan.
If you were a comedian that cussed, you were ridiculed by the mainstream comedy geist. That would be like me being on Joe Rogan. Joe don't want me on there. Joe got 6 comedians that never been funny he want to push out.
Well, the fear factor seems to have kicked in, because Joe Rogan has already reacted and said that he would love Katt Williams on his show. He knows that he can't ignore Katt Williams. It could be potentially wanting to cash in on the insane numbers that this interview's been getting, especially ahead of his Spotify contract ending later in the year. Or maybe he just genuinely does want to speak to him. I've heard Joe Rogan saying, I don't watch a lot of Joe Rogan now, but I did watch it in the past, and I can remember him saying lots of nice things about Katt Williams. So I think it's coming from a real place. I think he is genuinely a fan, and he probably wants to get on Katt Williams' good side, because it felt like a mild tap. It felt like a mild tap. I don't know who the 6 comedians is he's referring to. there's obviously a lot of Joe Rogan's he brings on his friends onto the show, obviously. And I don't know who the 6 comedians are that have never been funny that he's trying to push. I'm not sure Katt Williams knows either. I think he maybe just picked that number out the top of his head. But you can assume Brendan Schwab's on that list. Perhaps Tom Segura, who's had a couple of bad specials recently. He seems to have, and some really bad PR by having Twitter meltdowns against airline hostesses, etc. So they're not doing so well right now. But in fairness to Joe Rogan, I would say people like Shane Gillis, Duncan Trussell, Joey Diaz, Tim Dillon, Mark Normand, I find all to be very funny when they're on form. And I would say they're the people, the comedians that appear on his show. They are the people who appears on his show the most. I'm not sure about the last year or so, but in general, they are the people who appear on his show the most. And I find them quite good. So I think he's having a light dig at Joe Rogan and Joe Rogan's platform. And it's had the desired effect. Joe Rogan has invited him onto the show. So the PR marketing tour continues for Katt Williams' upcoming tour, as he's now going on the biggest podcast in the world. Next up, Ludacris.
Are you related to Luda?
No, so there was a crossroads where we were both invited to an Illuminati thing, and it had to be one or the other of us, and decisions had to be made. So it was both of us, we were equal. One of us had to cut off all their hair and couldn't do the sideburn thing no more with the points. And the next person, they said, was going to get $200 million because they were going to pay him $10 million a movie to do 20 movies. And that's how the conversation happened. One of those persons turned out to be Ludacris, and the other person turned out to be Katt Williams. Now, one person ended up with a light-skinned, ugly-faced wife that's never done it. Remember I told you that if I say that, it applied to 7 people?
Yes.
It's part of what they give you. Okay? I didn't get it. I'm not mad about it.
How much money they give? 200?
Sir, Fast and Furious is on what number right
10.
now?
10.
200 million. I might need to get me one of them old women look the same.
That's what they all end up saying at the end of the day. Kevin told you he wasn't going to wear no dress until they offered him the dress, and then he put it on. And what did he say after he wore it? I made my own decision. Duh. But you didn't make it before they brought it up, did you? It's okay.
Question about,
all right.
Are you related to Ludacris? And became something very different indeed, with Kevin Hart catching a stray bullet in the response. He goes in Kevin Hart in great detail later on, and he makes a few more insane accusations about Ludacris. Luda has already responded with a rap. I haven't heard this guy rap for about 20 years, but he spat some bars on Insta to acknowledge it, but he said very little about it. Still had a nice flow though. I think people forget that Ludacris was one of the biggest rappers in the world at one point. Maybe you're too young to remember that, maybe you're too old to remember that. But he moved into Fast and Furious and other films, and his response is a little half-hearted considering some of the things that's been alleged. We also, in the meantime, await Kevin Hart's response because there's a lot of stuff said about him. But let's move on to Kanye West.
What do you think about Kanye rants? What's going on with Kanye? From a distance, obviously, I don't know how well you know Kanye. I don't know if you've been around Kanye, but from a distance, what do you suspect's going on?
I suspect that we're pretty awful people if we say that somebody got a mental illness and then we watch what they do. If you say somebody got special needs, then why would you be watching them and holding them accountable like everybody else? Wouldn't you grade them on a curve? Wouldn't you go, whew, this guy? Because, I mean, what are we reacting to? What are we reacting to? You're the one that put him in a position where he thought he was God and could call himself Jesus. And you're the one told a guy that writes musical lyrics that he was a genius. You're the one that's like, so what do you expect? The guy married a whore. Like, what?
Oh, Lord.
Like, I didn't mean it like that. I mean, married her because she was one. Not he didn't know. He understood that he wanted that.
I think Kanye West likes attention in general, and I expect Kanye to respond, but to time his response when he has a new album or a new single to promote, he wouldn't waste the response, I don't think, on not promoting something. But there's not so much that there, but there was a couple of things he said about Kanye that probably won't sit very well. And on top of all this, Katt has accused Steve Harley of lying about why he quit comedy. Katt Williams says it's because he roasted him in a comedy battle about his wig. I've seen the footage. I don't know if the times line up there, but that could very well be true. There seems to be receipts there for that one. He also accuses Cedric the Entertainer of stealing his spaceship joke. I've also watched the videos of both jokes, and it appears that he certainly did steal the joke. And he's also accusing Harvey Weinstein of some wild shit, some wild stuff thrown at Harvey Weinstein as well. But this isn't even scratching the surface, so if you want to see more, then watch the full interview. I actually prefer that to Dave Chappelle's most recent Netflix special. It's like a hip-hop diss record that takes aim at everyone. Everyone mentioned is getting a lot of press. So as a marketing thing, Katt Williams not only elevated Katt Williams, but almost everyone he took shot at is getting more limelight because people are Googling their responses, their comedy, their music or whatever. So I mean, in my opinion, Katt Williams is a comedy genius. I feel like he knew exactly what he was doing. Nobody so far has sued him, and I don't think anyone has said that he's lied yet. But what do you think? Is Katt speaking facts, or is he at the wind-up for views and ticket sales? Let me know in the comments, and remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And remember, you can get more bonus content and support this channel by becoming a patron at patreon.com/YouCallThatRadio, or by clicking the join button below and becoming a YouTube member. This was yesterday's news tomorrow. Bye!